Hey you, what up? Welcome to my channel or welcome back. I'm Maryam. Today I'm testing out a whole bunch of new makeup, both from the drugstore and from Sephora, from Ulta, from higher end brands, and I'm putting them to the test in a battle, if you will. Drugstore versus high end. I'm applying both on the face. I'll give you just a little sneak peek of what you can expect. A little Morphe action over here on this side. A bit of a Life's a Drag facelift on this side. I'm gonna be testing out all these viral new products and I am going to be scrutinizing everything, applying it to my face, talking about prices, and comparing everything to each other. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Remember to subscribe if you aren't already. Hit that notification bell so you can see all of my Wednesdays and Sundays videos. And now let's get into this one. Testing new makeup from the drugstore as well as high end and battling it out. So let's designate this side of the face for my drugstore side, this side of the face for my high-end side, and let's start with primer. For today's battle of the primers, we have the following. Physicians Formula Butter Believe It Putty Primer. So now this guy is very interesting. You can get it anywhere from $8 to $12. This is a putty primer that's supposed to be pore filling. It does have some mica talc and synthetic wax as the third, fourth, and fifth component. So this is supposed to be one of those texture perfecting types of products. For the high end, I have a totally different type of primer. We have the Artist Couture Prep and Glow Blurring Perfection Primer. This one is $32. Water-based. Also contains some glycerin, some talc, some dimethicone. So this is basically supposed to give you that luminous, youthful glow that you follow up with foundation. So they're kind of different, but I even have a third primer to test out today that I will be using on my forehead. This is the PIXI Flawless Beauty Primer Hydrating Glow Primer. So this isn't actually a full size. The full size is much larger and it's $23. Let's open these up. So off the bat, this putty primer reminds me of Tarte's putty primer. So what I'm gonna do is just like scoop a little bit with the back of my brush here and just apply that directly to my pores. I'm gonna use this base buffer brush from EcoTools and let's go ahead and buff that in. Smells very nice, very coconutty. It's a scent that I particularly enjoy. It does seem to be mattifying. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily filling in the pores, but it's definitely adding like a perfecting glaze, which I like. Setting that aside, moving on to PIXI. Whoa, looks kind of luminous from here. Maybe I applied a little too much. I'm not gonna use the same brush to blend that out. I'm gonna use my Rare Beauty cat hair filled brush. Oh, this feels like that Huda Beauty Glowish skin tint. I'm glad I used this on the forehead because this is a little too metallic for my pore zones. For my forehead, it's okay, but wow, you can definitely see the luminosity. But outside of the luminosity, it actually does seem to be texture perfecting in the sense that it also offers that little bit of a veil. Very interesting. All right, and for the final one, let's go with the Artist Couture. Pump, pump, pump it up. Come on. There we go. And I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury Complexion Perfection brush here. Notice I'm not even contaminating any of my brushes with all the different primers. I'm really trying to keep it fair for this video. Ooh, so this one is very interesting. It's kinda a thinner version of the PIXI primer. It also offers some luminosity. You can definitely see that right here on my cheek, but it feels a little bit more serum-like. This one has less luminosity, but definitely not something that I would necessarily call a primer. More like a perfector, more like a skin luminizer. Moving right along. For the foundation, I am going to be using two skin tints today. For the drugstore side, I'm going to be using Morphe 2 Skin Tint. This is in collaboration with the D'Amelio sisters. This is an $18 product, so although you can't necessarily get it at the drugstore, I feel like it's a really fair price compared to its luxury counterpart, the Bobbi Brown Nude Finish Tinted Moisturizer with SPF 15. This one is $48. It's pricey AF, but it's got some sunscreen as well, so that's kind of nice. All right, so this is a sheer to medium coverage that you're supposed to shake gently. I'm gonna be using the shade Hint of Almond, which is a medium with neutral undertones. Really not a huge fan of these types of droplet foundations. I feel like it's really easy to mess it up and add too much, but let's go for it. Using this Makeup Forever wavy brush. Wow, this is very, very liquidy. Very liquidy, but nice. Huh. I definitely like the sheer hint of color. You can see how it's perfected my skin a little bit. I'm also gonna use that on half of my forehead. So having the PIXI primer underneath will also give me a chance to see how the skin tints perform against one another, but having the same base underneath. You see? You see what I'm doing? Trying to be smart here. Yeah, this is drippy. But honestly, I'm kind of impressed. Okay, Morphe 2. All right, now for the Bobbi Brown side, let's go for it. I'm expecting this to be good. You know, my all-time favorite foundation for oily skin is that Bobbi Brown Liquid to Powder. And recently I've been using their Skin Long Wear foundation. So my expectations for this are pretty high. And I don't know, at first swipe, I'm not disappointed. Definitely scented. It is a pleasant floral scent. No, honestly, this is quite lovely. Definitely very skin perfecting, but not looking like makeup. I also like the fact that it's kind of preserving the luminosity of the primers underneath, but I don't think it looks super oily. So far, so good. For concealer today, I don't actually have a drugstore concealer per se, but what I do have is this Physicians Formula Butter Believe It Foundation Plus concealer product. Apparently it's new. It also has some really good reviews. People are liking it. All right, so with this, I'm just gonna pump a little bit to the back of my hand. Damn, this shade looks really light, but maybe it'll work for concealer. I'm gonna add just a couple of dots here. Whoa, this feels like full coverage to me. Pretty good. I actually might have to try this out as a foundation. This is $12, you guys. Really inexpensive and really actually quite promising. For the high-end side, we have the YSL Secret Weapon, the Touche Eclat. Very famous product that I'm sure you guys have heard of. But basically the brand is kind of reintroducing it because I guess people have forgotten about them in 2020. It is very pricey, $38 for a little retouching pen. Come on now. I don't know if you guys are fans of it, but I don't know, I never really got the hype. So today we're just gonna be retesting it. The shade that I have here is 3.5. Basically you press the button and it's supposed to release the product. I don't know, I'm just like not patient enough for this. And then you end up pressing the button so much that too much comes out. I don't know, I don't have time for that. It's kind of a yellowy shade, but still light enough for what I wanna do. Also, you can't really blend it out with this brush because it's just so tiny. It's too fussy and way too expensive. Sorry. Not sorry though. Team Truth. All right, let's use a clean cat hair free brush to blend that out. Ah, yes. So now I remember. It's expensive for a reason. It really does cover and it really stays put. It buffs out really beautifully. So the product itself, I will say, is solid. I do need a little bit more here. All right, so now that I have my face base on, let's observe everything quickly. I'm liking both of my under eyes, I gotta say. This one is even better covered than this one, but that just has to do with the color, I think. I just see a little bit of creasing around the nose. You see that? I see that. I find that the pores are looking a little bit better on this side than they are on this side. I'm not really sure about that putty primer. I don't know if it's doing anything for my texture or not. Or maybe it's the Morphe 2, but my forehead, I will say, looks pretty good on both sides. I have a new H2O Skin Veil Hydrating Loose Powder from PIXI. I'm gonna use that on both of my under eyes because this is the only translucent powder that I currently have, but I will be using a different powder for my high-end side on the rest of my face just to compare those two. I'm gonna set the high-end side first. Oh, and it's brightening. There's absolutely no scent, which I love. You guys, hold up. This is very perfecting. So basically I'm just using this on the pore zones and on this triangle here. And I gotta say, it's really mattified and it's really perfected my skin texture. Observe. Close up. Whoa. PIXI? Did you do that? All right, let's test this out on the other under eye triangle. I mean, did you just magically watch that texture disappear? That was very noticeable. PIXI. Close-up time. Okay, do you remember how bad this area looked? Look how good it looks now. All you see is freckles, no pores. What? Look at that forehead. Look how it begins to shine the moment you cross that border. I don't even think that my favorite one size translucent powder is this perfecting. I don't even think my Charlotte Tilbury is this perfecting. This is like on some other level of perfection. How much is this? All right, it's kind of pricey. It's $24 for this little bit of product. It's 0.2 ounces or 5 grams. But the cool thing is that it also comes in a different shade, which is called Sun-Kissed. And from the looks of it, it is pretty bronzy. So this will probably match a few other skin tones. So that's really nice. Moving right along. I feel like I'm not gonna be as impressed with the next powder that I'm about to try from Artist Couture. This one is called the Beauty Powder. It is $34. I have a few shades, but this is the one that I'm going to be using today. It's called Creme Brulee. It's kind of like a pale yellow shade. I'm going to use that all over this side of the face. Talc is the main ingredient here. As I mentioned in my previous video, talc is not an ingredient that a lot of people love, so I always have to bring it up. One person even mentioned in my comments that she noticed a correlation between talc and her breakouts. So now I'm like, shit, should I be paying attention to talc and my breakouts? All right, let's remove the border from this forehead. Let's mattify this whole area. I don't know, I kind of like this powder. Feels really nice. Definitely also very smoothing and perfecting, but in a different way. Because this has a hint of color, it almost has a hint of perfecting as well. So it gives you just like another layer of coverage, you know, without looking or feeling powdery. But I don't know, this side of the face still looks more perfected. It's gonna be a tough call today. This versus this. What do you think so far? Oh damn, I'm such an idiot. I just powdered down my face and I had some cream blushes to try, you guys. I'm so pissed. It's okay. We're gonna do that anyway. So for the cream blushes, we have an $8 Maybelline Cheek Heat cream blush. Actually, this is supposed to be a sheer gel cream blush. Got 3 shades here, very lovely. And then for the other side of the face, oh, I have a new product from PIXI. This is the PR package, super, super cute. You guys have seen these all over TikTok. I feel like they went viral. Everyone and their mother was using them, testing them. They look really cute, kind of like deodorants. So now these are $18 each. So although not necessarily a high-end price, I feel like we still have to test them out on the high-end side because PIXI is one of those brands that falls into both. I'm gonna go for the coral shade just because I have a coral in both, the Maybelline and the PIXI. Hate this packaging, it always ruins nails. All right, so just to keep things fair, I'm gonna squeeze out a little bit to the back of my hand. This is the shade Coral Ardent. Definitely feels very jelly-like. I'm gonna start off with just a little bit. Is that messing it up? Not really. That's good. I guess if you go gentle enough, you're in the clear. I don't know if I care for this one, honestly. Do you see any color at all? I mean, I see some on the back of my hand, but like, it kinda blends out into nothing. Like, where's the actual color? Maybelline. On the other side, I'm gonna go for the PIXI Hydrating Solid Cheek Tint in the shade Juicy. Oh, this is so cute. Jesus, it's so adorable. I'm gonna pick some up with this little brush here. All right, so already this seems a lot more pigmented than the Maybelline one. Ooh, wait. Guys, this is lovely. Absolutely not disrupting the powder underneath, not disrupting my foundation either. Formulation is similar to the Jaclyn Cosmetics cream to powder blushes. I feel that this is also buildable. You can definitely add more on top if you want. Yes, you can. This is delicious. Very juicy. I'm just gonna make them match. I wanna have a good makeup day, so I'm gonna add that right on top. The colors are similar, but this one is obviously poppin'. All right, let's move on to my favorite category, the brows. I say it this way because, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, it's rare that I find brow products that I love. My eyebrows are finicky, they are wolfy, they are very to themselves, they have a mind of their own, and it's hard for me to tame them. So today for the drugstore side, I will be using the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer, $9, and the L'Oreal Unbelieva Brow Longwear Brow Gel. This is $17. It's kind of pricey for a drugstore product, but it does come with a little brush and a spoolie, and it's supposed to be like a super long-lasting type of product, so we'll test that out. All right, so I'm gonna use the back of this pencil to brush out my wolfies. I'm gonna brush them up. Then I'm going to use the shade Ash Brown to gently fill in. This feels very waxy, not really my cup of tea, if I'm being honest, but I know a lot of people like this type of product for the brows. All right, so blending that out, brushing that out. Okay, that's that. For this side, I've got some brow products from One Size. This is called the BrowKiki Micro Brow Defining Pencil. Same principle, basically a pencil on one side and a spoolie on the other side. I'm gonna go for the shade Dark Brown here and basically do the same thing. First brush out, then fill in. All right, this is less waxy, so I like that better already. It's more of a powder finish, which makes it easily blendable. The pencil itself, I would say, is the size of the ABH Brow Wiz or the Benefit Precisely My Brow, but not as fine as the new Huda Beauty brow pencil. That one's kind of my current fave. It's just so micro fine, yet it does not break, but this one's absolutely not bad. All right, so then going back to the drugstore side, I'm gonna use this Unbelieva Brow. This comes with a little sponge applicator. Apparently you're supposed to brush this onto your brows with the applicator and then use the spoolie to kind of glue it in place and also distribute it, which honestly is a little fussy for my liking. I'm not really sure what we're getting at here. I guess you can also use the brush side to create some strokes, if you will. But again, this absolutely does not glue down my brows, so it's not for me. All right, like it's cool, I can make it work. It makes my brow look very groomed, very nice, I get it, very full, but my hairs are still sticking out, and that's just not a feeling that I like, but I can live with it for this video. All right, for the one size side, I'm gonna go for the BrowKiki Tinted Moisturizing Nourishing Brow Gel in the shade Dark Brown. But anyway, here it is. This is $21. The pencil is $19 if I didn't mention it previously. Nice little brush here. Kind of like that. Very sturdy too. Definitely adds some color, but again, I'm not sure how the hold is. I also would not necessarily use a color brow gel to glue down my brows. I usually use a clear one for that. But this seems to have just a little bit of grip. Not a gel-like grip, but a grip nonetheless. Close up, do you see what I mean? They're kind of like a little bit more tamed. I'm actually just gonna prime my eyes with my Fenty Beauty primer. I don't wanna use different eyeshadow primers because I wanna be able to tell the difference between the palettes. Okay, you guys, for the drugstore side, I have this big, beautiful PR package from Morphe, Live with Love, just in time for Pride. And in it, we have a gorgeous palette, Live with Love, also a mirror, also a bunch of brushes. Morphe's also partnering with the Trevor Project and donating at least $200,000 from the sales of this 2021 Pride Live with Love collection. And as luck would have it, I actually received 2 of these PR packages, so one of them will absolutely be yours. All you have to do is just be subscribed to my channel and follow me on Instagram. I will pick a person from one of the comments over the next week. Boom. So this palette is $20 only, and look how cute and colorful it is. I also love the fact that it's not just colorful. It has some transition shades, has some neutral shades, some dark shades, shimmery and matte shades, so that's always fun. And of course, for my high-end side, I am going to be using the new Lunar Beauty Life's a Drag Facelift palette. This one is gorgeous as well. Look at it. Also has a bunch of bright shades in the rainbow array. Also has some neutral shades, some shimmery shades. So this is kind of like your everything palette. This one is $48. It's by my dear Manny MUA. Here he is right here looking absolutely stunning. I don't know if I necessarily want to create a super rainbowy look today. I think I actually want to go for something a little bit more subdued but colorful, so maybe just like a pop of color. So let's start with a little base. I'm gonna grab this stiff tapered crease brush and this shade here called Spread Kindness. Love the names. All right, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of a crease shadow here to my transition first and foremost. Lovely. So then from this palette, I'm going to grab the shade Sickening with a crown brush, and I'm gonna go ahead and add that to the same area. This shade is a little bit different. It's a little bit more neutral, not as orangey and not as pinky as its cheaper alternative, but they're close enough for what I'm about to do. I feel like Sickening is also just a little bit more pigmented and a pinch more consistent, so there's no skipping. It's just like an easier blend. So then from the Morphe palette, I'm gonna grab this shade Listen, just like a beautiful reddish brown shade. Gonna add that to this outer portion here, more so in a curved V, so like a U. Also just a pinch to the lower lash line like that, and blend that out very quickly. All right, okay. I feel like Morphe shadows are a pinch on the dry side for my liking, but not too bad. So from Manny's palette, I'm gonna grab the shade Meaty, which is also like a reddish brown, but a bit more brown than reddish. Do the same thing here, using Mario E5 brush. This is definitely not as red, and also not as saturated of a shade. but again, like I said, close enough. All right, adding that little bit to the lower lash line. Next, I'm gonna grab this Dominique Cosmetics The Packer brush and reach into this orange shade called Take Action. This is a very vibrant orange. I'm almost a little afraid. I'm gonna start packing that onto the lid. Whoa, this is actually quite stunning. Way more than what I was expecting. Gonna just blend out the edge, but wow, that orange really impressed me. That's really all I wanted to do. I just wanted to have a really orangey type of eyeshadow look for today, and this shade definitely did not disappoint. This is so stunning. So now from the Lunar Beauty palette, I have this orange shade here. It's called Correct. Unfortunately, it came in cracked, but I'm not gonna blame it on Lunar Beauty because they did pack it. Wow, this is lovely as well. Not as vibrant of an orange. This is a lot lighter, I will say, but just as stunning and just as pigmented. A little bit of fallout on both sides, but honestly not much to complain about. Which one do you guys like more? All right, I'm gonna blend this one out as well. I feel like this one's giving me more summertime vibes and this one's giving me more fall Halloween vibes. I'm gonna add just a little bit more brown here and same thing on the other side. And that's it, that's really all I wanted to do today. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go in with my finger to Full Fantasy. Just apply a little bit of that to the inner corner for a pop that is blinding and beautiful. Holy shit. Wow. That's it. That's the only place where I want it. That's enough. I don't think the Morphe has a similar color, so I'm just gonna go for this shade here called Spark Ideas. This is more of a golden, just like regular shimmery shade. Yeah, very different. That's okay. Moving right along. For the liner today, I'm gonna use one size Point Made liner in Bodacious Black for this side. And for my drugstore side, I'm gonna use this Physicians Formula Long Lasting Matte Monoi Butter Eyeliner. I love opening packages, it's so much fun. So what I like about this one is that it's a dippy liner, which is my absolute favorite, as opposed to a felt tip. I just find that these apply better, but let's see. Oh yeah, this is quite good. You can really get nice and precise over here, which I appreciate. I also like the fact that this liner is what, $11? It's not bad. And it's matte, definitely not bad. Of course, since I have a liner, I wanna get a little creative with it. So I am gonna add that secondary wing that I've been doing from my crease all the way out, but it's gonna stay parallel to the first wing, kind of like that, almost like a little flick. And then for the other side, let's go for the one size, which I have used before. I am familiar with this liner, but like I said, I'm just not a huge fan of the felt tip liner type application. It's not as secure for me as the dippy ones. And I feel like you really can't talk through the application like the way that I did with the other eye. Here I really have to concentrate. But I will say this is a really good liner, especially if you're a beginner. Makes it really easy to create those lines. All right, and now I feel like I need to make this line just a little bit longer to match the other. I'm gonna curl both of my lashes like that. And I am very excited for this next category, which is mascara. So for the drugstore side, I have none other than the Maybelline Sky High Mascara. I finally got my hands on it. Thank you, Maybelline, for sending it over to me. So super excited to test this one out. This one is viral. It went crazy. People started reselling it on Amazon and even on eBay for some crazy amounts. And people are actually buying them because that's how popular this mascara has become. This is my first time trying it, and I have high expectations, to say the least. For the high-end side, I have the Laura Mercier Caviar Volume Panoramic Mascara. So they're not necessarily supposed to do the same thing. This is supposed to be more of a voluminous type of formula, whereas this is supposed to be a lengthening. But let's see. Narrow little plastic wand that I'm personally not really a huge fan of, but let's see about that formulation. Starting out by coating the outer portion of the outermost lashes. The formula definitely sticks to the lashes. It's very black. It is making them appear somewhat longer, but given the fact that my natural lashes are very short, you kind of can't see it over here due to my thick wing. I'm gonna re-dip and add another coat. Definitely feel like there's something different here, for sure. Just that sticky consistency is making the lashes appear very slick and shiny and black, but I'm not really sure if it's doing anything extraordinary for me. All right, I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna move on to the other side and then I'll do the bottom lashes. All right, so the Laura Mercier Caviar wand is very nifty. You all know how I feel about those nifty wands. I always say that the simplest wand works the best for me. Now this mascara is quite pricey. I believe it is $25. It's $25, you guys. Whereas the Maybelline retail price is $11. Okay, this feels very light, a bit clumpy for me. definitely not a thickening formula yet. Nothing I haven't seen before. But it is separating the lashes quite nicely. So the fact that it's separating all the little short lashes from the longer lashes is what gives that volume. That's a nice thing, but again, nothing I have not seen before. I'm gonna set that aside, work on my lower lashes now. I feel like I need to try this out on a day where I'm not wearing eyeshadow or crazy liner. So for my drugstore bronzer, I'm gonna be using another product from Physicians Formula, and it is their Matte Monoi Butter Bronzer. Again, smells like coconut. I'm gonna use a bronzer brush and just add a little bit of this powder on this side of the forehead, a pinch on the back of the cheekbone, or rather underneath it, pinch at the temple, a little bit along the jaw, just like a swipe or two, and that's it. That looks pretty nice. Very, very natural, not too bothersome. For the high-end side, I don't have anything new to test out, but I did want to give the Glowish by Huda Beauty another test run. I'm gonna use the shade Medium, same brush. I gotta say, I really do like this bronzer more than the skin tint because it feels very buildable, yet very creamy. Also, it has an element of skin perfection that I like. I like both. This is $12, this is $31. For the highlighter, again, we're gonna go with the Physicians Formula today just because I have a lot of products from this specific collection. So this highlighter is $14. It comes in a really cute diamond looking packaging. Feels a little too sparkly for my liking, but I'm gonna test it out. Yeah, indeed, this is very, very sparkly. Not my vibe at all, so I'm gonna close that out. For the high-end side, I'm gonna reach for one of the highlighters in the new Orgasm on the Beach cheek palette from NARS. This is stunning, and it's also very expensive. This is a $59 palette. It has 6 shades. All of them are shimmery, so I'm gonna go for the lightest one. And now this is definitely more my vibe. This is skin enhancing. This feels right. This just feels kiddish. Moving right along. For the sake of time, I'm just gonna use this lip liner from Carly Bible X Il Maquillage from their new collection together. I'm gonna use the shade AI for my entire lip area. It's just like a really pretty nudie color. And then for the gloss, I have 2 formulations that I am pretty excited about. I have the Maybelline Lifter Gloss, which is totally giving me Fenty Gloss Bomb, the original Gloss Bomb vibes. I feel like Maybelline is coming for Fenty, but I have to test this one out. And on the other side, I am gonna be testing out the new Buxom Full On Plumping Lip Cream in the shade Seychelles Breeze. And the Maybelline one is 003 Moon. Ooh, but it is pretty, not gonna front. All right, so for this side, let's go with the Buxom. Slightly different shade, but close enough. Yes, that nice cooling, plumping sensation, I feel it. On the Buxom side, I like it. I'm not sure if it actually does any plumping, but this is essentially the final look using high-end and drugstore makeup. Let's kind of go over everything very quickly and let's make some observations, shall we? Looking at my forehead, I will say both foundations look really nice. This side of the face looks a little bit more perfected than this side of the face, but I am not going to attribute that to the skin tint. I actually think this has to do with the powder. The PIXI powder was definitely a little bit more perfecting. I will say I didn't really care too much for this Putty primer. I feel like it did nothing for my pores. Definitely did not minimize them. In fact, I think it almost did the opposite. It almost highlighted them a little bit. But I did appreciate the Morphe 2 skin tint. I feel like the skin tint gave my skin just a little bit of a veil and also kind of hid my pores just a pinch. And then the PIXI powder really did some magic over here. Once I applied that, I feel like that really transformed this whole side of the face. This side of the face looks really good. It looks almost flawless. Now, I'm not exactly sure what to attribute it to, but I will say that this Bobbi Brown Nude Finish Tinted Moisturizer with SPF 15 definitely had an impact. And I also really liked it with the Artist Couture Primer. These 2 products, they really worked well together, and I feel like it gave this side of the face a really, really nice finish. Overall, I also really liked the Artist Couture Multi-Use Beauty Powder. I thought it was great, even though it is talc based. I think it had a nice hint of color that further helped to smooth and perfect my complexion. The YSL Touche Eclat is a nice product. I'll give it to them. But the application, the pumping of the button, it's just too too much for me. The Maybelline Cheek Heat did absolutely nothing for my cheeks. But I will say this is a hit. I guess it's a hit for a reason. So I'm gonna continue reaching for this because this is definitely very, very intriguing. I love the color. I love how easy it is to apply, and I thought the formula was absolutely flexible and fantastic. The brow products were all kind of just okay for me. Not really my cup of tea for either one, for the L'Oreal or for the One Size. The palettes, the colors that I've tried so far on my eyes were all really good. I like both palettes and I'm gonna keep them both and I'm gonna continue using them both. Everything else I will say I really did enjoy. The things that I didn't really like were obviously this Physicians Formula Mineral Wear Diamond Dust. It was just a little too glittery for me. Things that I'm still kind of on the fence about, I guess it would be this PIXI Flawless Beauty Primer. It was kind of a unique formulation, I will say. I'll definitely need to try it out a little bit more. It had luminosity, but also a little bit of, you know, texture perfecting, but I couldn't really tell if I liked it or not. So I'm gonna have to set that aside and definitely give it a couple more tries. This one I'm intrigued by. I definitely think I'm gonna have to try this out as a foundation, the way that it's meant to be used. So I'll get back to you on this one as well. Maybelline Sky High versus the Laura Mercier. I will definitely give it to the Maybelline Sky High versus the Laura Mercier. This is far too expensive and it's not as great up close as is the Maybelline Sky High. But overall, I will say that the Maybelline Sky High didn't really impress me much either. Those are my final scents. Those are my final thoughts on all this newness that I tried out today, both from the drugstore and from Sephora, from Ulta, from some of the higher end, more expensive brands. So that is basically my roundup. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know what you think. What are your thoughts? Sound off, comment below. Also, don't forget about my Live with Love little giveaway, but keep it between us. Don't make it so obvious in the comments section. I see you. With that said, I am going to zoom on out. Check out more videos right here. Click on them. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.